Well, I've just rubbed down the filler that went on yesterday, so I'm going to touch it up with a bit of primer. I've taken the handle and lock out the door, just yeah, because it's going to get painted. There was quite a big dent on the door, which I hadn't noticed. I've fiberglassed the backs of the holes and put some filler in the fronts. So time for a cup of tea, and then come back and get on with a bit more sanding, and then hopefully get a bit of primer on it. Right, I put a just a thin coat of primer on the wing, so because I was doing the rest of it and I had the can out and I'd already sanded it down a little bit. The door's looking much better now. It's got no holes in it. Yeah, the dent down here looks like it's looking quite good. It's getting a little bit wet because I've still got a leaky roof. Yeah, I've refilled the rear. It's looking better. Like I say, I have got to resand it and reprime it. What I did with the fuel filler cap was I cut the fiberglass across the top. So I put a bolt that goes through to the old rear quarter, and I just tightened up a little bit. So that way it pulled the inside where this is bolted onto, pulled it in a little bit, and that looks much better now than how it was before. So I've put, I don't know if you'll be able to see, no, there's washers now where the fiberglass onto the wing, so it's got something to bite against. Obviously I need to, it's still a little bit tacky, so I need to pull that in and tighten it up. Yeah, and it's still not fitted, so I'm not really going to touch that, but yeah, looking awesome. I'm very pleased with how it's turning out. So I'm going to stop fiddling about with this now. Oh, I chipped the wing as well. I'll have to do something with that, put a bit of filler on it or something. It did, I had it resting against the car while I was sanding the door down and it fell over. Right. Yeah, looking good. Right, I've given it a quick hoover out inside the car. So it's going all over my trousers. I've decided at the moment, because my decision does change quite a bit, that I'm going to weld the cage in. So I'm not sure whether to sit it on this ledge here, which will make life a lot easier because I can pull the whole lot forward and it'll drop down like 100 mil, and where the front legs go sit on the floor, I can cut this open and drop the front legs down. It can go slightly forward and down, and that way it should bring the top of the cage down to about here. So the top corner will come down to about here, which is where the top of that lateral bar will be fitted, and I'll be able to get to the top to weld it no problem. And also the rear stays are going to be at an angle from here going down to the wheel arch. It's probably easier to see on that side, that wheel arch to the top. So it's going to be very tricky welding around the top if it's in position, but if the whole lot shoots forward and drops down, then welding above is going to be quite easy. And then once it's back in position, I can weld onto the arches. But it's not just those that are going to be tricky to weld. There is a windscreen bar that runs along the top from the joining both lateral bars, and there's no way that I can weld above it here. So when the whole cage is dropped down, it's going to be about here. So that'll be easy to weld above, so I can get welding all around. The only problem I might have, which I don't really think is going to be a problem, is welding around this leg when it goes back on. But I can get to this side easy. I can get most of the way around here. Imagine that's being further back, and I reckon I can get to that side of it. The rear stays will be there. That'll be easy to get to all the way around. I'll weld a piece of steel onto the arch first, and I'll have to put some steel on here as well. I've got to go 120 square centimetres by the regulations, but you can bring it down here if you want. I can go across and then up if I want, but that, if I did a triangle, that is actually just over 120 square centimetres. Here needs a steel plate as well, where the front foot goes, but that will just be flat, built up a bit, or just wide enough for the tube to go on and come up a bit or bend down. So that should be quite simple enough to do. So in order to do that, I've decided there is a reinforcement bar for the roof. It's a bit drum-like at the moment because it's got no strength in it. There's nothing supporting it. So there was originally a bar that goes all the way across just to give it strength. So if you were to sit on the roof, you know, you might get away without bending it. But I took it out because there was rust around here to get to the rust. So it was in the way. And so what I've done is I've sanded it all down and painted it with the crust again. So a lot of this was bare metal, but it's gone black now with the crust on it. So this is, I'll put some weld through primer on the underside. I won't be able to get to afterwards, and I think I'll clean up these edges and then weld it back in. I'll take the main hoop out, weld that back in, and then when I put the main hoop in, hopefully it'll be a nice tight fit and I can actually weld the main hoop to the reinforcing bar. And I can weld it here, because it's lovely and tight. And that way it's not going to squeak and creak and like my other one does. It drives me mad. So obviously I'll have to cut that much off the legs to get it to sit onto that tray. It looks like it was made for it. Now there's a captive bolt there, that one, and that is for sorry, just turned the video off by mistake. Yeah, that captive bolt is for the strap that holds the fuel tank in. So the bolt is there. I won't ever need to take that out. If I do, I can always drill a hole and put another bolt in, tap it or whatever. I can worry about that afterwards. I've got a few bits to tidy up inside the wheel well, which I'd like to do before I put the rear stay on. Oh yeah, the other bar I've got to put in is going to be the diagonal, which will be from this diagonal to the bottom of that diagonal, and a harness bar, and all that will be easy enough to weld in position. I'll be able to weld that all round, no problem. So I think welding it in is going to be better, and it's got advantages being welded in, whereas you don't have, if it's a bolt in, I'm going to have clamps fitted here, both sides, above the windscreen, where the windscreen reinforcement bar joins them, on these pillars for the door bars. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 8 clamps, and plus loads of nuts and bolts to hold it all in place. And that's quite a bit of weight it's going to have there. And plus you're going to have to put I'd have to weld steel to the tube to pick up where the bolts are, so I can bolt it to try and stop it squeaking and help reinforce it all. So there's extra steel and bolts there. Whereas I'm hoping that where this runs up the pillar, the A pillar, I'll be able to just weld it to the pillar to hold it all in place. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so there's quite a bit of weight saving to be had by welding it in. And the disadvantages are, if you have a big one, you can't take it out. You'd have to cut it out. And also sometimes if you've got a bolt-in cage, it's nice to take the door bars out if you're like changing seats or whatever. Gives you more access to the car, make it easier to get in and out of. Right, okay, I think I'm going to start now with the roof reinforcement plate, clean up a bit and then weld it in. Alright, this is the reinforcement bar that goes across the roof. I've just put the weld through primer on the underside, the bit I won't be able to get to afterwards. And it actually lips under, there's a little lip here. I don't know how I got it out because I wasn't getting it back in again. I've had to bend it all down. I'll have to squeeze it all back in. This is getting the sunroof panel welded in, so as long as the top's not damaged, it's just this bit's got a few dents in it from the pliers pulling it down. So what I'll do is I'll use the Tiger Seal to bond it to the roof, and I will weld these ends. I'll clean them up so I'll be able to weld there, and then that's a bit of reinforcement, and then I'll work out how much to cut off this so it's nice and tight against it. The corner bit was dropping down. There's like a reinforcement piece that runs around the sunroof, and I had to get it down to there's a little bit of rust underneath it, so I had to just clean that up. So I put Tiger Seal under that and bonded it back in. I might put a spot of weld on it as well. So now I'm just going to wait for the primer to go off, and then I can bond that in, put a bit of weld on it, and then start on the roll cage. Yeah, that's the brace. It's got the, sorry, the light's a bit reflective, isn't it? It's got the Tiger Seal to hold it in place. I'll put a couple of tack welds where I cut it, either end. I'll leave that overnight for it to set. I've sort of bent the overhang to hold it in place. Just partially in areas. I'll do more rather than just using pliers. It's making a bit of a mess. That's not going to be seen though, because the sunroof panel will fit in that and cover that up. So yeah, I think I'll leave that for now. Thank you very much for watching the video. I'm really enjoying working on the car at the moment. We're getting to a stage where you can see a lot of progress from doing not too much work. So it's all starting to come together. I'm gonna give the bodywork a rest for a bit because I want to get the cage in. So hopefully tomorrow it'll be a good start. I don't think it'll take too long to do, but I might have to bend a few more parts of the cage. And the guy who bends it for me he's not here at the moment. He's on holiday. It's Christmas week, so I haven't been doing a lot of work. I've been able to spend quite a bit of time in there, but I'm enjoying the time I am spending in there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.